You're listening to Creatives Crushing Anxiety, the podcast for online business creatives looking to minimize their anxiety and maximize their productivity through systems organization and time management. I'm your host, Dia Darling. Let's do this. Hey guys, I am very, very excited to be recording this episode because it has been a while since I've recorded episodes. I don't know why I haven't been in the mood to do it, but here I am. I'm back. I'm doing the dang thing. So today I want to talk about how I deal with triggers because we're all triggered by things, especially this year. It's an election year. There's been so much going on between COVID, the BLM movement. Like, this year is crazy. 2020 has been freaking a lot. And I know that there are so many triggers that can come up for all of us. So I want to talk about how I actually deal with those. First, I try to really, the way that it really starts for me is there's like a wave of emotion. And sometimes it's sadness, sometimes it's anger, sometimes it's just this paralyzing feeling, or sometimes it feels like a panic attack and I can't breathe. And once I identify that, I like to try to take a minute to sit in the feeling and see where it started at. Because when you're triggered, a lot of times you're so in the moment of you may not notice the specific thing that triggered you. So I always like to try to figure out what it was specifically that triggered me, and is it a true story? And what I mean by that is, obviously we assign meanings to things consciously and subconsciously, and that's just how humans work. But a lot of times, and I can give the example of this, when I was visiting my family, I was sitting at the table, I was eating, and my mom goes, "Your bra strap is twisted," and she went to fix it. That was fine. And then she goes, "You really need to tighten it." And she goes to start tightening my bra strap. And I'm like, "Stop, leave me alone." And I felt so irritated for like a good 20 minutes after that. And I was like, why is this irritating me so much? Why do I feel triggered? And obviously that's kind of a smaller trigger than, some of the other things I mentioned with what's going on in 2020. And I was thinking, you know what? It has nothing to do with her trying to fix my bra strap. I mean, I literally lived inside of her for 9 months. Like, if anybody can fix my bra strap, it's going to be her. But I realized that the trigger there was I felt like she was picking at me. And it came from the feelings that I have that, like, I'm always not doing things the way she would want me to do them. And it was basically a lot of uncovering that I had to have. And obviously that's through, years of therapy, years of personal development and self-work for me to identify that. But it was just funny to me that I was like really, really irritated. And I was there with my family who I hadn't seen in months, and I was in really good spirits. And then this one thing happened, and I'm like, why did this set me off so bad? So just really allowing yourself, once you can sit in the emotion, really feel it for a moment, but don't stay there. Don't stay in that paralyzing place. And if it's something like that where you need to push forward, allow yourself to really think, why is this upsetting me so much? So then, yes, the root cause may still be there, but after you get past that root cause of it all, you actually can say, okay, this is the thing I like. Once you can actually say, this is not a big deal. I reacted this way because this triggered a response or a memory from something else that is actually a problem for me. And this was not a big deal. Her fixing my bra strap was not the thing that is going to break our relationship. The next thing that I do when I'm triggered, or another thing that I do when I'm triggered, and obviously depending on the situation, which one of these tactics I take are very, very different. And I'm just sharing them with you. So maybe they'll be helpful to you. Not a psychologist, not a psychiatrist either, but just sharing some of my struggles, since obviously this podcast is called Creatives Crushing Anxiety. And I'm going to talk about how I personally crush anxiety with hopes that it helps someone else out there. So depending on the situation, like sometimes it's way too heavy, and other times it's just like little things, little triggers. And depending on how you feel in that moment, one tool may be better than another. So the second thing is exercises. Um, I think whenever I really, really feel high anxiety, especially if I'm not sure what triggered it, it's the breathing. The breathing is so key for me. And sometimes it's literally just stopping and saying, okay, in and out, and just allowing myself to breathe in the moment and letting the air get, or the oxygen get to my brain, and just have a moment to feel myself in my body, to allow myself to know that I am safe, that I am okay, and just to breathe. Sometimes when it's really bad, I will do the breathing, and this may sound uncomfortable, but I'll put my head between my legs and like just just feel my body and compress my body a little bit. Another thing that I do, another exercise that I do, is stepping away. If I'm sitting at my desk and I feel really, really anxious, really, really stressed out, I know the default a lot of times for that is to just push through it and to keep working. But a lot of times you really just need to step away. And what that may look like for me is I'll have my I don't want to say her name because I don't want her to talk right now. Alejandra from Amazon. Hopefully you got that. I'll say play a song by Lizzo, because Lizzo is like my go-to for, clearing out the negative emotions. And I'll just like walk in circles around my apartment for the duration of that song. And it gets me out of my head, it gets me out of my body, or it gets me into my body and out of my head. And then I can come back and just decide what the first thing I'm going to work on is. Sometimes I need a little bit more than that. And that's when I'll actually go on a real walk. I'll put on my sneakers and head out and, walk around the neighborhood and just really allow myself to just chill out. Most of the time I am listening to music. Sometimes I'll listen to a true crime podcast. And the reason I like to do that is because I get really into the story. And excuse me, the reason I like to do that is because I get really into the story. And I'm focused on that and not the thing that's stressing me out. Another thing is having people to reach out to. I'm a bit of an enigma. I am very much an open book, but I also am only close to certain people. And I was actually watching this training on trauma training, and something came up for me, and I was completely triggered by it, like upset to where I was crying. And I reached out to someone that I work with, and I was like, hey, like I'm watching this thing, because she knew what the thing was. And I was like, I'm so triggered right now. And just having someone to hold that safe space for you, like you don't have to do it on your own. You don't have to share your problems with everyone or anyone, but having someone that you feel like you can reach out to. And then also really honoring yourself and knowing your limits and your boundaries, because there are certain people who I love and I adore and I can talk to, have a good time with, but there are certain things I won't share with them. And by that, I mean, I won't talk to them about certain things that I know they don't understand, or that I know they can't be receptive or supportive in the way that I need them to be. And it's not that they don't love me. It's not that they don't care. It's that that's just not their default. For another example, one of my very best friends who I wrote a blog post about the guy. He like doesn't have a lot of empathy, and he's a great person. He's super caring and great. But I know sometimes that there are just certain things, if I'm feeling a certain way or I'm upset about something, I will talk to my other best friend, because she's going to be a little bit more receptive and supportive. And he's going to be more like, that sucks, or, well, then do something about it. And I am very much like, okay, complain and then take action. But in that moment where you need to be held, I know that he's not always the best person to talk to. We've also been friends for almost 15 years. And there will be times where I want to talk to him about things, and I'll say, hey, I'm going to tell you this thing. I need for you to respond the way that I would respond. And so he knows, like, this isn't the time to make jokes. This isn't the time to brush it off. And it's asking for what you want. So just find that circle of people that you can talk to. And if someone lets you down, feel comfortable saying, like, this is what I need from you in these moments, and what you gave me isn't what I need. So I'm telling you what my expectations are. And if they can't meet those expectations, that's fine. just find someone who can, if you choose to talk to someone about whatever it is that triggered you. Another thing is I try to prevent it from happening again. Obviously, we can't rid the world of triggers, but what we can do is not put ourselves in situations that we know are going to be triggering for us. There are certain places as a Black female in the South that I do not like to go and that I don't go because they trigger um, feelings of fear for me and sometimes feelings of anger because of the way my community has been treated in those environments. So I try to prevent those situations from occurring and not putting myself in those situations. The same with clients, if you have someone who's constantly triggering you, when it comes time to end that relationship, in the relationship, and don't renew it because, oh, the money, or, oh, I don't want them to be mad that I don't want to continue working with them. It's like, no, you have to take care of your mental health and your well being. I also disengage with people when they trigger me, if it's possible. And there are certain situations where, obviously, like with my mom, I have no desire to disengage with her, or with friends who maybe you have mutual friends and you're going to be around with them. You're going to be around them regardless of if you decide to be super engaged with them and still be really good friends with them. And what that really looks like is just allowing yourself to not go deep with them anymore, to, be polite, say hello, but know that certain big issues you just can't deal with them, and to take what they say with a grain of salt. Easier said than done, but that has been really, really, I feel like a lot of people in 2020 have shown their true colors, and it's hard when those people are in your circle, because you obviously don't want to stop hanging out with everyone because one person has issue or has thoughts that you don't agree with or that feel hurtful to you. So just not engaging with that person on the level that you were previously, in protecting your energy, protecting yourself, and protecting your space is really the best way to do it. So maybe you only talk to them when it's in a group setting. You don't randomly text them anymore, like whatever it may be, just really protecting yourself and disengaging when you can. I know that's not always possible. Like if you work in a 9 to 5 and you work with someone and someone is a trigger for you there, but just like you can't just say, okay, I'm not going to work with Bob anymore. You don't have to work with Bob. You can't do that. You have to work with Bob because he's an employee, you're an employee. But what you can do is make a point to not, if Bob invites you to happy hour, don't go because you know he's super triggering. If Bob is trying to start some casual conversation, like be polite and then walk away and say, oh, I have to work, or oh, I need to take care of something. Like you do not have to engage. And by not engaging, I think a lot of people have this fear that if they don't engage at the level that they have, or that if they try to distance themselves, that means that they're being rude or unprofessional. And it's like, there is a way to do it the right way. And as long as you're still being polite, it's fine. Like, I don't want you to say F you when Bob talks to you, but keep your exchanges as short as possible. Try to stick to work things. If what he triggers you around is work, then it may be time to talk to someone in the company, like HR or your supervisor, about the dynamic in that situation, and if it's unhealthy, and then they can inspect it and see if maybe it is Bob is a problem and he needs some talking to, or if maybe you're being sensitive, or if someone, and when I say maybe you're being sensitive, I'm not like evaluating, or what is it? I don't know what I'm gonna say here. I'm not taking away the validation of your feelings. Your feelings are valid. But I think if you talk to someone and they say, okay, no one else is noticing this, I haven't noticed this, then you may actually realize that Bob doesn't trigger you. What triggers you is what Bob reminds you of. So maybe you had a bully who said things the same way that Bob said back in high school, or maybe you have he reminds you of your dad. Whatever it may be, that's when you can do the reflective work. So those are the things that I do to deal with triggers. This was very much an off the cuff episode, and I just wanted to share that with you because I know that triggering situations are just like they feel so consistent right now, but there are ways that we can manage them and help. Also, obviously, therapy. Hello, big fan of therapy. There's also like support lines if the triggers are too strong. If it's like there is so much help out there, and I really want you guys to take care of yourselves. I know we are in heavy times, and I know that things feel unpredictable, and sometimes like we don't have a lot of control, but we do have so much control. I love you guys, and I look forward to doing this more. All right, catch you next time.
This has been Creatives Crushing Anxiety. For more podcast episodes, visit diadarling.com. Did you enjoy this episode? Then go ahead and leave a review on iTunes. You can also subscribe on iTunes, Stitcher, and Google Play. Catch you next time.